Hey there, and welcome to the discussion series. I'm your host, XollFury, and today's guest is the regular Snebzor. So what's up, dude?
Not much. Thanks for having me on the channel once again.
Oh yeah, no problems, no problems. So what are we going to be talking about today, sir?
My most beloved pride and joy, the Ranger.
All right, yeah, that's right. We are going through a series on my channel on the different professions, and I'm gonna try and get people that are wanting to main the profession of that week. And last week was Phylactic, and he wants to main a warrior, and then this week is Snebzor, and he wants to main a ranger. So, sounds pretty awesome. So,
Indeed.
yeah, so why don't you give just a little bit of a basic overview of what the ranger is, good sir?
Well, the Ranger in Guild Wars 2 should be quite similar with some modifications to the Ranger that is in Guild Wars 1. So, it's kind of that, it's pretty good at everything, but it's not amazing at one thing, and it can fit various roles. Although there's going to be no Holy Trinity in Guild Wars 2, it's still a midline character, so it has that medium armor, and it has some range abilities as well as some melee abilities.
Yeah. They're pretty, they're definitely a solid ranged class. Or profession. I'm still in WoW speak because I
Yeah,
played it for years and years. But they're a solid ranged profession, but they also have plenty of melee weapons as well. That
yeah, which
they're
also
also
surprises me.
yeah
It's so weird to me to think of that because in Guild Wars 1, you really couldn't use anything other than a bow if you wanted to be a ranger.
yeah
So it's kind of strange, but it could be a good change.
yeah, and so what is the single coolest weapon that the ranger can wield?
A bow, but that's in my mind.
No, dude, a freaking greatsword. How
Cool.
awesome is that?
I just think it's a bow because I mean, every time I think of Ranger, I think of Legolas
Oh yeah, yeah,
from Lord of the Rings,
yeah.
and I think I want to be that elf guy who's really good with arrows. But yeah, it's
I don't
kind
know.
of
I just
sad.
think it's awesome to be a ranger with a freaking greatsword.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
hard to imagine, but that is pretty ballsy. I mean, you can have a great sword and just be like, oh yeah, and take this and throw out an arrow at him,
Yep.
at your opponent.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy.
Yep. Anyways, so also the ranger is good at range and good at melee. It has a pet, which is cool. It is one of two professions that have pets, the other being the necromancer, but those are summonable rather than always being there. Then the ranger also has traps and a stealth mechanic as well as other cool things.
Yeah, you
So
should explain that stealth mechanic to me because originally I just thought, Thief is going to have the stealth mechanic, and then I learned that the Rangers also have that. So that's kind of, I don't know, it supports the whole jack of all trades concept even more to me.
true, and it's not something that the ranger can. It's not the same kind of a stealth mechanic that the thief has. It's I forget exactly what it's called. I think it's camouflage, but I think that's the one from WoW. But it's the same concept as the one from WoW. It's basically you and your pet are put into stealth for a limited time, and I'm pretty sure it's as long as you don't move. I'd have to go look that up. They might have changed the skill around a little bit, but yeah, it's basically you and your pet are stealthed for a limited time, so you can position yourself in an ambushy sort of way, and you and a couple other rangers can, defend someplace and then set an ambush for somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see how that'd be kind of an interesting thing, as long
Yeah,
as it's not exactly what the thief has, because that always kind of bothers me when professions overlap too much, when they get skills that are too similar. You know what I mean?
right,
Like
right.
if I don't want the thief to be really, really good with the bow. I want the ranger to be really, really good with the bow because I know that the thief has like a short bow or something. Is that true? Pretty sure it is. But
Yeah,
I don't want the thief to be a master with that short bow. I want the ranger to be the master of the bow.
yeah.
And vice
So
versa. I want the thief to be the master of stealth.
yeah, I actually just I actually just pulled up the wiki, and the skill is called camouflage, and it's the little description it has is disappear with your pet unless you move or attack. Cannot be used in combat. So that's interesting.
Oh, that's weird. Because if you couldn't use it in combat, then when would it be
Like I
super
said,
viable?
for setting in an ambush or defending a point or something.
Uh, oh yeah, that actually is kind of an interesting idea because I can see how in PvP, perhaps if you were holding down a certain location, you could be
Yeah,
camouflaged and then surprise your enemies as they
exactly.
approach the
Exactly.
objective.
I could see like two rangers or something could defend a point, and then one guy's like, "I'll go take this point," and then he starts running in there, and they're like, "Aha!" I don't
Yeah,
know,
some witty
or
banter
some
could go on in the chat and be like,
exactly.
"Oh man, I died," and then suddenly comes out of stealth, "Haha, I didn't die." Stupid. Oh
Or
man.
something significantly less corny than that.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on, good sir. So, what do you feel are the Rangers' strengths and weaknesses?
This is a tough one for me because I don't know that it has any specific, real, definitive weakness. I feel like it's similar to that kind of midline ranged class of any other MMORPG. It's going to be, pretty good at everything, but not amazing. It's not going to stand out with anything. That's what I think so far.
I I fear that that will happen, but I hope it won't.
Exactly. I mean, I love the Ranger, so I hope that it's like amazing damage with its bow, but I don't foresee that happening just with the trends of other MMORPGs and even the original Guild Wars. I don't see that the Ranger will be just too amazing at anything. So I just think it'll be okay at everything. Jack of all trades. That's just the class description.
Yeah, yeah, they're a highly mobile profession, and they seem to rely a lot on positioning, which is really cool. But they're very quick. They can quickly get up to melee range and then back out, which is really cool. They deal good damage and they seem to have solid control. But as far as like durability goes, they're not the toughest, but they do have a res mechanic. Because I don't know if you saw any of those PvP videos, but when you get downed, you can actually call your pet, and if your pet is still alive, he'll come over to you and res you, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know how that would work. That seems kind of strange to me. Like, how does your pet revive you? Does it just lick you to life?
I don't know. Maybe you're just like filled with glee at the sight of your companion.
Oh, look, it's
I
my
don't know.
giant wolf that just killed 7 people, and it's come to revive me.
Yeah, I don't know. But it seems a little weak on support. Maybe I just haven't looked at the skills in a while, but
Well,
would
I
you say
suppose
so or no?
I suppose the traps are mainly for support, but you have a point. Traps are the only support really that I noticed, other than mostly the traps. That's all I can think of off the top of my head because you can use the traps to your advantage to kind of create like a concave around your casters or something like that. Again, it's
Yeah,
midline, so you can put traps down that prevent the enemy from getting to your backline, but
yeah,
other than that, I don't know. It's mainly one of those classes that people think that they're just going to play a lot of solo. I mean, you have that pet, and in World of Warcraft, the hunter was kind of that thing. You had your pet and you played a lot of solo. So that's what I foresee the ranger being a little bit. I guess we'll have to play the
yeah,
game to really get a feel for it.
yeah. I guess, and I think it also depends on your definition of support.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
I mean,
Yeah.
somebody who is running around the battlefield, I don't know. I think it just kind of depends. Because Phletic was saying that like the tanks were also kind of a supporty role. Like the warrior and guardian were very good for support because they're the tank. And I
Yeah,
think
I
that was
mean
an
that
interesting
kind
way to
of
look at it.
construes and twists the support aspect definition of it. I mean, I don't know that I would call a tank a support class because it's a tank, but I don't know what I'd call the ranger. It's just that class. I suppose it has to be called a support profession or support class because it's not amazing at any one thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then that goes all back to the every class is supposed to be support.
True, true,
Yeah, so
true.
I guess we can't read into it too deep.
Yeah, I suppose not. So I guess let's just move on to our next topic here, which is do you think it is a good addition to the list of professions? I mean,
Well, if it
basically,
wasn't
could
there, I wouldn't play Guild Wars 2. Just kidding.
no, basically though, could they have gone with a variation or a like a better variation of the profession instead? Like for example, the classic iconic paladin, they went with the guardian, which was a spin-off. and it's
Yeah,
definitely its own profession, but it does take a strong paladinic, if that's a word,
yeah.
roots.
We'll just make it a word right
Okay,
now.
okay, it's a word.
And it shall be known in the dictionary.com.
So let it be.
Yeah. And I'm not hmm, I'm not sure. Um uh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to say.
Okay. Well, I know they were planning on, at one point in development, they were planning on splitting it into two different professions, which
Yeah,
was
that
the
was.
warden and marksman.
Yeah, I read about that, and
And that's certainly an
that's where.
interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, I played. I don't know if you're familiar with the game Runes of Magic.
Familiar with it, never played it.
Yeah, it's kind of a dumb game, but it's an MMO and it's based on microtransactions, and that's what really defeated the game for me. I mean, I got pretty
Yeah.
high level, and it had a scout and it had a warden. I know this isn't very comparable, but they were kind of split. Whereas the scout was mainly ranged DPS, and then it had the warden that was kind of your utility kind of character. It had aspects that the ranger in Guild Wars 2 will have, and that's it. I mean, it was only a part of the Ranger. So I know that they were kind of splitting it into that Warden and what was the other one? It was
Marksman.
Marksman. So that's kind of where I see that happening. And I'm surprised they actually didn't follow through with that because I thought that, like you mentioned before, they had the Paladinic Guardian thing. Why didn't they make a completely new profession? But I think it does have its place. I think the Ranger does have its place.
Definitely. And it also brings some kind of familiarity from the first game. For like you wouldn't be that interested in Guild Wars 2 if the Ranger wasn't there. So,
Exactly. I mean, as a diehard Guild Wars fan, I mean, I've got all the posters, I've got the standee. I need some relevancy. It has to be very similar to the original Guild Wars in
yeah.
some aspects. I want the story. I want some of the professions, some of the skills. I just still need that nostalgic feeling when I'm playing Guild Wars
Yeah.
2 that it reminds me of the good old days of Guild Wars 1. So I'm happy that I'm able to play a Ranger, but at the same time, again, I'm surprised they didn't switch it around a little bit. I mean, they could have made it a lot different.
Yeah, and I think they made enough changes to the way the Ranger plays in that it's definitely a viable purely melee profession because you can dual wield axes or have a great sword or whatnot and be a great melee profession, which is something that could not be said for the Ranger in Guild Wars 1. So I think that, and then they also like the whole Guardian thing, and then just bringing in the new, changing the assassin with the thief, and then bringing in the engineer. I mean, I think they made enough changes that an additional one might be too new and not enough familiarity for players coming from the first game.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I am glad that they made that change so that there's a little bit more melee with the Ranger because without that, it would again be almost too similar to that of Guild Wars 1.
Yeah. But I think as far as how it plays with the other professions, I think it's a good accent to the team, if you will. Like if there were 8 people, one of each profession, I think it would definitely fill its role quite well, and I think that's good. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on. What do you like and dislike most about the Ranger?
I like the idea of being a midline, medium. This is me personally. I like the idea of being that medium armored character that can do a little bit of everything. And that's just me because I don't want to be, say, I don't know, an elementalist and just be really good at ranged DPS, that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
I just so again, I know everything's supposed to be support, but the idea of being able to, run up to somebody with a great sword and then back off with a bow and then lay some traps, the idea of being very utility based really, I don't know, it makes me want to play a ranger.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I personally really, really like their combat style. Like, I wasn't sure which, like, back when I was first looking into Guild Wars 2, I wasn't sure which profession I was going to play, because I was like, well, I kind of played a warrior in the first one, and so far the dervish isn't in the second one, so, I wasn't sure. So I was just watching gameplay footage of different professions, and I saw one of the ranger where he was doing, the guy playing the demo was wielding a short bow. And I really liked that combat style of very positioning oriented, very much of the I will roll to here so that I can use this ability to cause the most damage. And I really like that, of the just kind of rolling in and out, and spread shot and a couple of those other short bow abilities. I don't know, just something about the having the bow but being very close to your enemies that I just really liked.
I feel like it's going to require a lot of precision, timing,
Yeah.
skill, to be able
Yeah.
to hit the attacks at the right moments, to be able to dodge and move around. And I don't know, that's what makes me want to play Ranger, is just the
Yeah.
ability that, it takes a little bit more effort to be good with the Ranger, I think.
Yeah.
Just because it's so much more about positioning.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think it would be one of those professions that you can play and get by with being an average player, but that an experienced player who really wants to could get exceptional with them. And I like that ability that the profession gives you, so that's cool.
Exactly. Now, the only thing I can say that I really dislike is, I don't really love the whole traps concept, but that's probably due to the fact that I played Guild Wars 1 and traps were pretty much useless. So I'm curious to see how that they change traps to make them actually viable. So as of this moment, I think traps really, like, again, I mean, the whole concept didn't really work in Guild Wars 1. So if they can change it, make it work, I will like it. But at the moment, I don't really want to see traps again.
Well, I think if they do it right, which it seems like they will, that traps will be in a great addition to the tools or the tricks up the Ranger's sleeve. And I know they're giving traps to the thieves, but I don't know. I think it's an essential. I mean, when people hear Ranger or Hunter, they expect traps, and if they weren't there, then I don't know, it would be missing something. But I don't know. They have a lot of different traps that seem pretty useful. I mean, they have 6 traps here. I'm looking at the wiki again, and they have Dust Trap, Flame Trap, Frost Trap, Muddy Trap, Spike Trap, and Viper's Nest.
Yeah.
And I mean, Dust Trap, I believe, blinds all of the enemies that trigger it. I mean, Flame Trap like ignites everyone. Frost Trap slows everyone. Spike Trap looks like Spike Trap
Yeah.
just
The real
it bleeds and cripples people. I mean, it seems to be useful to help control areas. And
Yeah, the main issue with it, that was in Guild Wars 1 that was very apparent, was that it wasn't cost or time efficient. I mean,
oh
why in the world would I lay down a trap when I could run up and deal a whole bunch of damage and destroy the enemy before the trap is even done? And
yeah,
so I really hope that they fix those issues. I want them to be both cost efficient and time efficient, so that if I want to quickly lay down a trap that's not too powerful or anything, but if I want to lay that there for a little bit of support and then go away, that it won't hurt me. Because originally, I think in Guild Wars 1, there were some traps that took 3 seconds to lay down and they were easily
Whoa.
interruptible.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
useless.
was completely useless, because if anyone attacked you within those 3 seconds, the trap failed and you lost 15 energy. So why in the
Wow.
world would you ever use traps when they're that easily disposed of?
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like we had a little bit of lag there, so I apologize to the listeners. I think that's my end. But something that I would like to see as far as the traps are concerned, something that WoW did really well, was they gave, I think it was the survival spec of Hunters, the trap gun, where you could literally fire a trap to a place. And that was really cool.
Well, that's pretty boss, I gotta say.
Yeah, so
I
you could be
mean,
standing in one place and then fire it either onto this ledge or down off of a ledge or something.
yeah, I could see that really working for Guild Wars, because if you were able to put a trap somewhere other than right where you're standing, it makes it a little bit more tricky. Because I mean, putting a trap just right where you are, I mean, it's kind of obvious. I mean, if you're the opposing team and you see a guy like tinkering on the ground, putting down a bunch of spikes, are you really gonna walk over there? I'm not gonna walk
I
over
hope
there.
not.
Yeah.
Well, I just remember a lot in WoW. I played my hunter a lot, and I did a lot of PvP when I leveled him. And I remember after getting the 3 different types of traps that you could have at any one time, because they had it limited. You had a bunch of different types of traps, but you had different categories. You had like a flame trap, a frost trap, and a nature trap, and you could only have one out at a time. So I would use my trap gun, and I would maybe it wasn't just survival. I think it might have been all of the different, all of the specs could get it just after a certain level. I don't remember, but anyways, I would be like defending a tower point, a bunker or whatnot in one of the PvP areas, and I would be up like at the top, but I could see down to the door, to the entrance. So I would put all three of my traps like right at the entrance, so that if anyone would walk in, they would get frozen, ignited, and a bunch of vipers would be beating on them.
You dead.
So, exactly. Well, no, they weren't that powerful, but it was just one of those like, oh hi there.
Yeah. Oh hi with the HAI.
Yeah. Oh hi.
And they're dead. Oh
so
man.
I would like to see something like that in Guild Wars 2, but it's a different game, so it might be overpowered in Guild Wars 2. I don't know.
It's one of those things where we have to really play it and really delve into the game. You know, we have to experience all the different ways that you'll be able to play traps to really understand it. I think that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, definitely. And so I guess we've been rambling on for quite some time now, so we can go ahead and wrap up with the final question, which is, would you main one? And your obvious answer is a resounding yes.
Yes, otherwise, I mean, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and me, I plan on having two mains. I plan on... I'm not sure how the character creation slots are going to go, but apparently there's the max limit of 8, which sucks, but I will have one of each profession, definitely, and I think the two that I would log the most hours in would be the Guardian and the Ranger, so...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my Ranger right now... Guild Wars 1 has, I think, 1,400 to 1,500 hours clocked on that thing.
Whoa.
23 max titles. I mean, I love that bloody Ranger. It's my pride and joy, and I hope to, I don't know, carry on the legacy in Guild Wars 2 with another Ranger.
Definitely. All right, so I guess that wraps things up, and thanks for coming on the show today.
My pleasure.
All right, yeah, no, so yeah, links to Snebzor's channel in the description, as well as his fan page, and if you liked this, go ahead and let us know in the comments. Give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like us, let us know in the comments and give us a thumbs down.
Yeah. I always hate that.
Yeah, well,
don't tell them that. Puts thoughts into their heads.
Well, yeah. Anyways, also let us know, what do you think of the Ranger? Will you play one? Let us know. And
no
I guess
negative comments.
Oh, come on. Constructive criticism is always a good thing.
I'm just joking.
I know. Anyways, I'm XollFury, and
I'm Snebzor. It's always the awkward
wasn't
outro.
quite as smooth as I envisioned it. But anyways, all right. So I guess we're done. Later, guys.
See ya.